and welcome back to season 5 of Yuri Studio. I'm absolutely boggled that we've made it this far. Thank you to everyone who participated in YuriCon 2023 last year, and happy anniversary to us all. Because I was so ill and so busy through much of last year, I managed to never do a single video about any of the unbelievable Yuri anime we got. So belatedly, I'm restarting my not really reacting to an anime series because we have a lot to talk about. Before this anime passes into the annals of Yuri history, let's take a look at Yuri Is My Job, based on the manga Watashi no Yuri wa Oshigoto desu, one of the first Yuri anime of 2023. Imagine, if you will, an esteemed old girls' school founded by a Western religion, so Christian symbolism is rooted deeply in the school's traditions. In that school, the students are encouraged to form bonds of platonic intimacy, bonds they call sister. Sound familiar? Welcome to Liebe Academy, the setting for a series of illustrated novels that focus on these Schwestern. This series is so popular that it has launched a concept cafe at which students of the school practice etiquette by working in the cafe as waitresses. This meta-media setting is where Yuri Is My Job takes place, a fiction set in a fictionalized world of a series-themed cafe. I love this so much. Have I ever mentioned how much I adore in-series media? I was obsessed with Crying Breakfast Friends in Steven Universe, and here I am, absolutely in love with this whole idea of a bunch of girls who don't really care that much about Yuri, acting out Yuri scenarios and Yuri tropes for the entertainment of an audience of Yuri fans. If this was real, I would probably die of cringe while I was there, but you could be sure I would go at least once. The manga for Yuri Is My Job was pretty far along when the anime premiered, far enough that I think the anime might have been envisioned as one of those mid-series jump starts for ongoing longer manga when the series stretches out and the sales begin to slump a little bit. Or maybe it was just a really marketable premise and Ichijijo wanted it out there. 2023 was going to be a year of great Yuri anime, and maybe they just went for it. The anime begins with Hime, a girl who is laser focused on her life plan of being universally beloved and eventually marrying rich, being gently coerced into work at this cafe. In many ways, Hime is superficial and not at all into the idea of the cafe or the books behind it. But for a character presented to us as superficial, she has some high emotional intelligence. Except when she doesn't, which is almost always in dealing with her One-sama, Mitsuki. Mitsuki is a very relatable character for me. Awkward, frustrated, angry when she's frustrated. She knows who Hime is, even if Hime doesn't return the favor. It's not until the very, very end of the anime we begin to see the complexity of her feelings about Hime. Their arc will take us through about half the manga so far, long after the anime ends. Hanako is Hime's best friend, and for those of you who have read the manga, you know that sentence carries a lot of weight and will be the subject of many, many a chapter, as Kanako struggles with, well, a lot of things. We're still watching her deal with all the stuff she brought to the table in current volumes of the manga. The only employee playing a third-year student, Sumika, seems carefree. The younger girls think of her as a gal, but that's probably only about half true. Her persona in the cafe is serious and bookish, but in reality, thinking things through and understanding people are not her strengths. Mai is the cafe owner. I find her to be problematic a lot of the time as her employees are dealing with all sorts of emotional gunk and she's like, oh, hey, who can work this weekend? I guess like a real boss then. The thing is, she's the only adult in the room and I think she ought to do better. I constantly want to shake her. Lastly, Nene. Nene is the only lesbian in the series and as a result, I treasure her and want to keep her safe. Sadly, Miman sensei did not ask me. The premise of this anime seems like it ought to be a comedy, but it's really not at all. Yes, there are humorous moments, but overwhelmingly, this is a drama set in a ridiculous setting, which makes one have to constantly reset one's expectations pretty significantly as the story progresses. And there's one other thing of note that I really want to talk about here. When the manga came out, I was an absolute otaku. I scrutinized the background characters to see what kinds of people showed up to this Yuri cafe. At first, the characters were very generic, but as the background started to fill in, I admit to checking to see if the cafe had a clientele of men or women. Not gonna lie, I still look in crowd scenes at things like clothes and hair and body types. To Miman Sensei's credit, there's a nice even split when the humans are identifiable. Is this important? And the answer is, well, it is to me. I know that the Global Yuri Fandom Survey told us that our fandom was skewed to more women than men, and we know there are more queer folks than straight folks, and I wanted to see a fair representation of this fandom in the cafe. In my opinion, I think we get it. Thumbs up on that. So here are my 2 questions for the series. Was it Yuri? That is a really good question. In this case, the setting is Yuri. The parts the characters are playing are Yuri, but as far as the anime goes, there isn't really a Yuri plotline until the very, very end of the series. I give it a qualified yes. Yes, with what we know, will be much more Yuri and actual lesbian storylines later in the manga. It won't get any funnier though. Secondly, did it work? What absolutely worked for me in the anime was something that fans used to hate, but in 2023 really made me see the value in it. Rearranging pieces of the story. So while those of us who were current with the manga could see that there was some remixing, it worked incredibly well to make the anime make more sense for viewers. Sometimes when you look back at a serialized work, it's easy to see something should have been moved or cut or added that would have made the story better. 2020 hindsight and all that. But this year we had several anime teams that boldly made those decisions, and in every case, the anime was better for it, including Yuri Is My Job. Yuri Is My Job is streaming now on Crunchyroll. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it, and I'll see you again soon on Yuri Studio. Happy 5th season to all of us.